On tonight's program, where did this man find his superhuman strength? The Spanish village mystified by faces in a floor, and who saved this young girl from almost certain death? Hello and welcome to Mysteries. Pain is our body's defense system. The message that we're hurting ourselves travels along our nerves at 200 miles an hour to our brain to tell us to stop whatever it is we're doing. And the more it hurts, the more damage that's being done. But our first story is about a man who seemed to be able to control the most excruciating pain when every nerve in his body should have been screaming at him to stop. At 4 o'clock one morning, a young woman crashed on a deserted highway in South Carolina. 2 miles south, Glenn Price was on his way home.
I've been driving for about 20 years, and it is boring, lonesome, but listening to the radio, that kind of breaks the boredom. And driving at night is something that you have to get used to, because your vision's only as far as their headlights, and you've got to be always alert. But that one particular night, the boredom and going to sleep was the last thing on my mind. When you come up on the vehicle, turned over on its roof, naturally it gives you a charge as if somebody had thrown ice water on you. And coming up on the automobile, I could hear a young lady screaming.
I can't breathe!
Okay, honey, okay. I'll get you out. Okay, honey, stay there.
Get off! Help! Help!
The way she was pinned in, there's no way I could have gotten her out.
I can't breathe!
The roof of the car was pushing down her chest. It was cutting her air.
Okay, hold on.
I can't breathe.
Hold on, I'll get you out.
If you'd had a jack, you could have jacked it up, but I didn't have that.
Help!
And the only thing left to do was to get it off of her.
Help! Get off me! Get off me! Help! 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 Get off me! Get off me! Help! I can't breathe!
I just lifted it enough to where I could hear her quit screaming. But at times like that, you don't think. It was just something that had to be done. It was done. As I was holding the car and assisting her, the biggest thing on my mind was there's no one else in the world there but me and her and the good Lord above, you know. If you mess up, she's gone. And it seemed like an eternity before anybody did come.
At 20 past 4, a motorcyclist stopped to help.
Call 911, hurry!
Because the crash site was so far from the nearest town, the volunteer paramedic was called at the same time as the emergency services.
Douglas Wilbanks.
Douglas's job was to stabilize Selena until the ambulance got there, but Glenn had to wait another 10 minutes holding the car before Douglas arrived.
When I arrived on the scene, I couldn't believe, that Glenn was holding the vehicle up like he did.
By this time, Selena appeared to be turning blue and she was having difficulty breathing.
She was placed on oxygen at that time.
Douglas thought Selena was going to die, so while he gave her oxygen, Glenn held the car.
Really, this is the first time that I've ever seen anybody hold a car like that. It's just incredible.
Over here! Over here, right here!
God damn!
Oh yeah, where do you stretch over?
By the time the emergency teams freed Selena, Glenn had been holding the car for 45 minutes.
When Glenn picked the car up, I felt relief. I felt like my guardian angel was there. I don't know what gave Glenn strength. It was really weird. I feel that I owe Glenn Price my life.
It's kind of scary realizing what could have happened if I hadn't been able to help the car and kept it off of her. That, you know, she would have died, and I would have been there when she died, and that would have been a horrible situation.
It wasn't until Glenn saw Selena being taken to hospital that he realized he was in pain himself.
Reality set in on me, and I got to realizing how bad I'd hurt myself. You know, the pain's unbearable.
Hi, I'm Dr. Leap. Just take these.
Glenn was in a state of shock and had dislocated both of his shoulders.
If someone has a dislocated shoulder, it is very difficult to lift something. It's so painful that the traction of weight on your arms would cause you a great deal of pain. Well, in Glenn's case, in spite of the fact that there was a weight of thousands of pounds on his arms, he continued to lift on that car and was just simply so committed to what he was doing that he was able to function through that. I think that it's quite possible that as Glenn's shoulders dislocated, he had a massive adrenaline burst which enabled him to continue to function in spite of his pain. I think that Glenn is an example of a true hero. I would call him an epic individual.
Glenn has his own idea about why he found this superhuman strength.
I had a son when he was 18, diagnosed with leukemia, and helped him battle it for 17 months. But he lost his battle. But this young girl under that car, she was in a position she could be helped by some means. And I went through the losing and burying of my child. And by helping this girl, I was saving a parent from having to go through the ordeal of burying their child like I had to.
But could the memory of his son fully explain how Glenn was able to lift the car for so long?
What Glenn was experiencing was what psychologists refer to as hysterical strength, meaning that under very exceptional circumstances, your mind produces very profound physical changes which result in enhanced strength far beyond any athlete's dream. In addition to that, in Glenn's case, of course, he had an emotional history as well, which probably heightened the effect, the idea that his own child had died. And this memory heightened the emotion of the moment, which is that someone else could die. And the relationship between those two events probably resulted in the hysterical strength that he experienced.
I don't know what kept me going. Some call it adrenaline, but I call it being an instrument of somebody a little bit higher. You know, if you see someone hurting, then you should do what you have to do. That's what I did. And I would hope someone would do that for me.